This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We are kicking off hour 2 here. Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. This segment presented by Upside. Download the free Upside app today and earn real cash back every time you fill up your gas tank. Plus, right now, if you use the promo code SPORTS, you get 25 cents back per gallon on that first fill up. Lots to get to over the course of the next hour. David Deneen in 15 minutes talking all things college basketball. He's a former hooper. He's in the Circa College Hoops Challenge as well. We'll also have Circa's own Mike Palm on the program in studio as usual. Plus, our Play Ball MLB preview series will roll on today with a deep dive on the Detroit Tigers, which is another one of those teams that people are very high on this season. Also, keeping tabs on the college hoops as we go. Conference tournament action underway. I know you're not very pleased with what's going on in Drake and Belmont right now in the Missouri Valley.
Yeah, we're cooked. This thing is sick of forking it. We're done here. 91-75, or excuse me, 92-74.
92-76 now.
Excuse me?
92-76 now.
Yeah, that doesn't really help me out here.
Sorry.
In any way, shape, or form. Appreciate that.
Yeah, 2 minutes to go. We're at 168 combined points. You bet under 171.5.
Correct.
So
we're done.
Not ideal.
Really, now we're just waiting for the final. So I'm glad Belmont made this thing push over the in-game total at halftime to do absolutely nothing. So it is a 16-point game with 2:11 left to go. We are just waiting to see what the final score is, and that the top-seeded Belmont team will go down in the quarterfinals.
That was the big news of this thing is Belmont was laying 11.5, 12, depending on where you were looking at this. They're the top seed in the tournament, the shortest shot by far to win it all in the Missouri Valley. They're about to be bounced by the 8th seed in Drake right now. Also, we had Will Hill on the program a little bit earlier with some of his favorite college basketball bets today. Charleston Southern and Winthrop in action right now. He took 5.5 with Charleston Southern. They're up 26-19 here early. About 7 minutes to go in the first half, so still a long way to go, but trending in the right direction for that game as well. Florida Gulf Coast, meanwhile, also underway, up 32-14 against Lipscomb right now. So that team total on Lipscomb not feeling as great right now if you got in on that early, but as we said, again, long way to go in both of those games.
Yes, there is, Stormy. I agree with that point, very much so.
We'll get into more NBA talk here, as we did with Zach Cohen a moment ago, our VSiN senior editor, host of the Hardwood Handicappers podcast. Good reminder, if you want to hear any of his thoughts, not only can you download and subscribe to Hardwood Handicappers, but Money Moves as well. Any of our guest segments you want to catch back up on, you can listen on your own time when you download Money Moves. We're going to dive into the NBA S tiers, which is something you have been doing each and every week with
it's only our second week.
The beautiful artistry here. Well, excuse me, I need to rephrase that we will be doing each and every week moving forward until we reach the playoffs, which will be here before you know it. And we have seen some changes, but not at the top.
No, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are our S-tiered team. We're still waiting to see some consistency from the Cleveland Cavaliers to put them in the top spot and above the San Antonio Spurs, who they're on this run, man. This is absolutely incredible to see because they're playing all these high-leverage games, and we know we saw them slip up a bit, and we'll see if they do it tonight against the Los Angeles Clippers. We talked to Zach. He's got them plus the points, but you bounce back from that rough loss against the Knicks. You blow out the 76ers. You beat up on the Detroit Pistons, number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They deserve to be right behind Oklahoma City here. And, of course, the fact that they have beaten them probably could consider them an S-tier team, but the youth factor does hold me back a little bit. But 45-17, team's been absolutely incredible. Might get to 50 wins before 20 losses. I know we've talked about that 40-20 benchmark, but this team's been absolutely unreal and deserve to be, I think, considered about the second-best team in the NBA, not just the Western Conference. And Cleveland, we're still waiting. Donovan Mitchell has been injured and dinged up. We saw that James Harden had to do a couple of things on his own to keep this team. I don't want to call it a float because that makes it sound like they're kind of sinking and everywhere else. They are not. After losing 3 out of 4, they have won their last 2. Nets, whatever. But then they beat the Pistons, as we talked about, shorthanded without Mitchell. They get a big one coming up against the Celtics, as we have discussed. That will be on Sunday. But Cavaliers still, I'm going to hold out hope that they're going to be that team that we expect them to be when fully healthy. I think the rest of this comes down to where do you want to slice these teams up? But you mentioned the new face. I'm not afraid anymore. What is it? Is that the Home Alone thing, right?
I don't know.
What do you mean? I'm not afraid anymore. And then, like, the old man looks at him and he screams.
That was actually a really good Macaulay Culkin voice.
Yeah. Oh, is it? I didn't even try.
Sounded
I think that's just my normal voice.
Sounded pretty close.
So I know I now have a mousy and timid voice, I suppose. But the Charlotte Hornets, they are in. The Charlotte Hornets are in our B tier. They're just ahead of the Boston Celtics. Now, with Jason Tatum back, we will see if that's the case. But again, why not, man? 20-2 with that starting lineup, the most efficient lineup in basketball at this point right now. They deserve to be considered among some of these teams. If I were to remove the logos and just give you the statistical profile of this group, you would have them here in this spot. I mean, every return has been that they are among the best teams in the NBA. And again, in the Eastern Conference, the 5th best point differential. They should be maybe even a top 6 seed by the time everything is said and done for Charlotte. And I'm tired of maybe being a little timid and buying in, as we've talked about them all year long, from the over-the-win total to make the play-in to make the playoffs. This team's going to be, I think, a legitimate threat to many. The real question becomes, what do you do with a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves, whose returns against top 10 net rating teams are among some of the best? They have the 2nd best net rating against those opponents. Last night, get a 115-107 victory over the Toronto Raptors, take care of business at home. They have quietly won now, Minnesota 5 straight. They've gotten to their 40th victory. They get the Magic coming up here tomorrow, which they should be able to take care of business if they're going to be consistent. And they have one of the best players on the floor at any time in Anthony Edwards. I think the Timberwolves, I will hold out hope that Western Conference ticket I have on them is going to be one that could eventually cash here as well.
So I want to go back to the top of the Western Conference here real quickly with the San Antonio Spurs, because in the similar vein to what I asked Zach about, you have a team that has gone 6 straight seasons missing the playoffs. They haven't even got out of the first round in nearly a decade, to now playing as well as they are, potentially representing the Western Conference in an NBA Finals later on this year. Does experience matter to you that much when it comes to this?
Yeah.
Like, is this a team that you firmly believe in can get over those thresholds?
I mean, the history would tell us experience does matter, at least in terms of building a young team and getting out there. So we have seen these teams time and time again fail, rebuild in the offseason, and then come back stronger. So I would say that has to matter. Absolutely. By the way, that picture is also why you've told me before, that I have to smile with my teeth. That's why. It's a weird picture.
Well, okay. So for anyone who doesn't know this about JVT, he smiles kind of like we see those young Gen Z people on Instagram with like the closed mouth smile. Not that you're trying to look seductive like some of them. Well, it's like a wrinkles thing for a lot of them. They don't want to do like super teethy mouth smile because they don't want to get premature wrinkles, which I think is stupid. But I really feel like you're going to look back and regret not having like full, happy, full, true smiles. I do. I think you're going to regret it. I think you look great on that graphic. Headdress and all.
Look at what's wrong with this?
But to follow up that point,
this is a good smile.
OKC, yes, obviously favored to win everything this year, including being minus 600 right now to have the most regular season wins, just a 3-game edge over Detroit and San Antonio. But looking at the strength of schedule, remaining 2nd most difficult remaining schedule, Detroit in this market is plus 550, but the Spurs are 11-1 with the 10th easiest schedule remaining. Only 3 back-to-backs compared to Detroit, who has 5 down the stretch. Is 11-1 enough to have interest in them potentially catching up and having the best record in the league?
Oh, I think so. I mean, I think you could put a flyer on that and see if they can get it done. I mean, obviously, the points that you're making here all do matter in terms of the strength of their schedule. Look, you're playing in the margins here, so this might matter. Part of their schedule, even though it is one of the easier ones, remember that San Antonio still has 3 games left against Denver, so that's going to be pretty interesting to watch. So maybe that makes the difference if Denver's everything I expect them to be, and maybe they're going to be fully healthy. But I think Detroit is a team that we've talked about this from the standpoint of playing against them in the division, potentially playing against them in this market as well. They're going to have a pretty rough schedule as we move forward, and I think that there is a blueprint being formed in how to defend this Pistons team as you move forward. So if you're trying to short Detroit in some shape or form when it comes to regular season record, I could totally understand.
So you mentioned the Nuggets. They're in action, a big game today against the New York Knicks. Short home dogs in this spot. Spread 1.5, total 229.5. Anything stand out to you here?
I mean, first off, situationally, do we trust Denver here? We watched them last night play against Los Angeles Lakers, got by the hair of their chitty chin chin against them because that was a game in which they weren't going to cover, and then there was a mini meltdown. Did you see the Luka fight with J.J. Redick the other day as well, where I completely love J.J. Redick telling him to sit the F down because, I mean, come on, dude, just shut up for once and just sit down. We're fine. To which Luka did not respond very well. Anyway, I digress. Aaron Gordon is upgraded to questionable. This is going to be the thing to watch here. Are we finally going to see this team get healthy with their starting 5? Aaron Gordon potentially back here against the Knicks. That'll be great for him. Cam Johnson is questionable. The only big rotational piece of both of those guys' play is going to be Peyton Watson, who is still out with that hamstring strain. I'd lean a little bit toward the Nuggets in that if they are fully healthy, I believe that they are better than the Knicks. But situationally, coming off of a big game against, we'll call it a rival on the second leg of a back-to-back does give you a little bit of pause. And I think that's where the market's flipped toward New York because I will say this right now. If all things were equal in terms of schedule, there's no way that I would make New York a 1.5-point favorite on the road against the Denver Nuggets.
Flip side of that, you capitalized last night fading LA against a good team in the Nuggets.
Oh, we know
do
we
we get back on the horse today in betting on the Lakers against a bad team in the Pacers?
It's a bad team, man. We've talked about this 1,000 times, right? They're front runners. They beat up on the bad teams, and they lose to the good teams. And this is exactly what you're looking for with the Los Angeles Lakers. Any way they can, they will take out all of their frustrations on these little teams. Los Angeles Lakers, 10th best against bottom 10 teams in terms of net rating, plus 9.8, or they outscore those teams by 9.8 points every 100 possessions. They have the 8th best offensive rating against those opponents, averaging 122 points per 100 possessions. They're 18-4 in those 22 games in which they have played bottom 10 net rating teams. They love to beat up on the little guys. So I would say absolutely you could look at the Los Angeles Lakers tonight against the Indiana Pacers. If given the opportunity, they will run up the score. They will blow them out.
Also, add a little more fuel to your fire. Indiana, riding a 7-game losing and no cover streak, have also lost 11 of the last 13 straight up, 10 of those failing to cover. So not only have they not been good, they haven't been able to cover as big dogs. We
should point out, I believe it was DeAndre Ayton last night who got a little dinged up. So that's going to be something, although it doesn't really help you out too much. He hasn't really been a positive for the Lakers when he's been on the floor. Pascal Siakam is probable to play today, as is Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Nesmith. So that might give you a little bit of pause.
There's no reason to pay full price at the pump anymore, ladies and gentlemen. The free Upside app gives you real cash back every time you buy gas. Download Upside today. Start earning on everyday fill-ups and use the promo code SPORTS to get 25 cents back per gallon on your first tank. Upside users earning hundreds of bucks each year just by driving like they normally do. Cash out whenever you want, straight to your bank account or popular gift cards. Get started today. Download the free Upside app. Promo code SPORTS. Offers vary by user and location. See upside.com for details. David Dineen going to join us coming up next, talking all things college hoops. You won't want to miss it.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We've already got some early chaos in March. Officially official. Belmont, top seed in the Missouri Valley, falls to Drake 100-79. It's the first time in Missouri Valley Conference tournament history a 9 seed has knocked off the 1. Drake woke up today with a 13-19 record, and then come out here and upset the top seed. And well over, by the way, after the 3 unders we saw yesterday in the Missouri Valley, that trend that has been so popular soars over the closing total of 152.5. Okay, we're going to keep it moving in college basketball because lots more to get to. Other conference tournaments underway and set to get underway in short order. Excited to have David Dineen join us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Former Cal Poly Hooper, 2024 champ of the Circa College Hoops Challenge as well. Back in the field this year as one of the 15 contestants in the field. David, how you doing today?
Good, Stormy, JVT, thanks for having me on. I'm back in the field, but I already have had some issues the first week, going 1-4.
It's all right. It's a long tournament. Well, kind of. But we have plenty of time, David. We got plenty of time to work this thing back.
It is a long tournament, though. 45 plays in all,
Yep.
right? So the picks this week for every contestant going to show up on the VSiN morning line tomorrow with Tim Murray. You can also find all the picks up at VSiN.com. But all that means is if you take an L week 1, you bounce back, right? That's how this goes, David.
This is tough. You know, everybody's in the same boat. I love this this challenge that Matt Humans puts on because everybody's betting into the same lines. You can't make excuses. And, you know, I was at the Pepper Mill. I live up here in Reno, and I work at UNR. And a guy asked me the other day, why is it so hard to win college basketball? And I said, you know what? If you go on a diet, there's probably a good chance you're going to lose weight. If you lift weights, you're going to get stronger. The more you study in college, the better grade you're going to get in class. With this stuff, college basketball, you can crunch these numbers until you're blue in the face. If you hit 54%, you're pretty good.
Yep. All right, let's talk about some games that I know are on your radar. Let's head out to San Diego. We got a good one later tonight, David. UNLV on the road against San Diego State. Aztecs are about a 10.5-point favorite. Both teams have been all over the place. UNLV skewing a little bit more positive, San Diego State a little bit more negative. What do you make of this last meeting between the two in this regular season?
Yeah, this seems like it's a little trappy. It seems like they're begging you to take UNLV plus 10 here. Stormy, did you go to San Diego State?
I did. I am an Aztec alum.
There we go. I mean, for the last 15 to 20 years, I worked at UNLV for 15 years as well. I mean, San Diego State at home, I mean, they do two things usually extremely well. They contest threes, like they run guys off the three-point line, and they make free throws, and they block out. So I would lay it with San Diego State here, minus 10. UNLV is just so up and down. I mean, you just never know. But San Diego State at home on a Friday night when the students are going to be there, I would say lean San Diego State.
How much do you put stock into, especially like some of these situational spots just in general? UNLV goes out and is dominant against the top team in the Mountain West and Utah State the other night. Is that something that typically throughout the course of the season you really do look to in your handicapping?
It's so hard to forget about the last game. UNLV had to beat Utah State by 27 a couple of nights ago, and you're like, man, they're playing great. But you just never know with travel, guys. You just never know. I mean, there's so many things that can happen that I don't think a lot of people take into account. Like UNLV, they'll probably fly in tonight. They'll practice. They'll get a shoot around in tomorrow morning. All it takes is a guy to be late or somebody get thrown in the doghouse. They're not watching film the way the coach wants it. Travel is a tricky thing. I mean, so many bad things can happen. And with UNLV being so up and down, that's why I'd look at San Diego State here.
All right, what about the West Coast Conference tonight? We have two games, but I know one's on your radar, the nightcap. San Diego takes on Seattle. And, David, we've seen this get bumped up from 7.5 to 9.5. Total's been bet down a little bit as well, as high as 140.5 at the open, down to as low as 138.5.
Yeah, game 8-8-1, San Diego plus 10. This is a tough one for me. I mean, I'm pretty close friends with Steve Lavin. I've known him for 35 years. He's already been let go at the University of San Diego, so he's kind of a lame duck coach. The guy going up against another good friend, Chris Victor, who's the head coach at Seattle. They're both San Francisco Bay Area guys, D2 players, but with chips on their shoulder. Lav had a great run at UCLA, St. John's. I don't think San Diego's quit on Lav yet. I don't think they've quit on him. I know this will be an emotional game for him if they lose, but he's known for playing the whole 40 minutes. Like, they could be down 15 and he's going to keep fouling. So I'm looking San Diego plus 10 here, just in kind of an emotional spot for Steve Lavin and his team.
David, before we get to Saturday, I did just receive a text message. You can guess who this is from when the question follows, but I'm being told that perhaps you've been distracted by a new girlfriend.
You know what? Matt can keep his business to himself, okay? I couldn't hold out forever. I mean, what do you guys expect me to do? And it's not affecting my handicapping, all right? I'm giving my best to this thing. But that's funny, yeah. So I do need a bounce-back week, and if I lay an egg again, I'm really going to be in the hole. So I'm hoping for a better Saturday.
I have faith in you. Looking ahead to Saturday, those
at least somebody does.
I got you. Looking ahead to Saturday, though, I know you're still feeling out some of the different angles that you want to ultimately put in for your picks, but what are some of the games maybe that you're targeting or that are on your radar looking ahead to tomorrow?
Yeah, game 687, 688, Bakersfield at Cal Poly. By no means am I a homer to Cal Poly at all. I mean, I did play there. We were horrible. They gave up, I think, 107 points to Irvine last night, and Irvine really doesn't even run. So, we'll see what that total is. I'm a career under better. It kind of fits my personality. I like stinker games. I like low scoring, but I don't know if you guys have kept up to date with what's gone on at Cal State Bakersfield this year. Just awful stuff by the assistant coach, things that are just, really bad. So it's a game I'm looking at. Maybe if it's a low enough total, it could go over.
David, I was curious your thoughts staying in the conference. UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara looks like a pretty good game on the surface. Triton's kind of fallen on some hard times against the spread near the tail end of the year. What do you make of this matchup between these two?
The two academic schools, JVT. I'm so surprised UC San Diego can keep this thing going. You know, their coach left and he went and took the New Mexico job. The average GPA to get into UC San Diego is a 4.28. I still scratch my head as to how the heck they get these players into some of these schools. Santa Barbara's right there as well. I mean, you need some great grades, ACT and SAT scores to get in there. But I saw UC San Diego play up here against UNR. They kind of grind you to a nub. They do some things really well. I think Santa Barbara is going to make them beat them off the dribble. Like, hey, we'll let you run your stuff, but in the last 10 seconds, you're going to have to beat us one-on-one. So they're probably looking under, if anything, JVT.
David, before we let you go, because you mentioned being out there in Reno, obviously we talked about the SDSU UNLV game, but when it comes to the conference tournaments that are upcoming out west, like the Mountain West, the WCC, Big West, WAC, whatever it may be, are you looking ahead and targeting any potential teams that you might want to buy in to either win the tournament or be buying in on or fading game to game? What's your approach to some of these tournaments looking ahead?
They're so much fun to watch. Like, I went to that WCC tournament for 15 years, Stormy. I love, and I'll be at the WAC tournament next week, watching all those games. I'll come down from Reno. It just really comes down to the numbers and what you see, you know, what teams are together still. Like, some teams you can kind of sense that they might have already folded their 10 and they're looking to spring break and they can't wait for this thing to be over. So, like Nevada, I think they got a pretty good team. I mean, they play Air Force on Saturday, and Coach Alford keeps them together. It could be a long horse to steal that thing when they play down there.
David, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Good luck with the plays this week.
Okay, thank you for having me on.
David Dineen, you can follow him on X as well, at David_Dineen775. Appreciate his insight. And again, you can get the picks firmly tomorrow morning right here on VSiN with Tim Murray.
Not too much good luck, though, because I am competing for this $1,000 comp credit to either Barry's or the Cabana upstairs. And I believe that we have plans at the end of April to get a Cabana, so a $1,000 comp could go a long way.
That's true. That's true. Maybe I selfishly want that for me as well. Then
there we go. See, that's what I'm saying.
With that in mind, though, for you, have you firmed out some of your picks for tomorrow yet?
God, no.
You last second?
I mean, not last second. You just got like a list of like 20, and you have to like whittle them down. At some point, you got to pick a best bet. You know, as I've always said, as much as we just talked about winning this thing, the goal is always to not embarrass yourself. So that's 2 and 3. I don't know if that qualifies in the first week, but we will see. And then we get the reset before the NCAA tournament. We'll take a break after this week, so good time to kind of reset. But no, I have not solidified anything. Okay. I will be on with Tim Murray tomorrow morning, though, 6:45 a.m. Pacific time, to give out my final 5, if anybody cares.
Right on. Speaking of breaks, we got to take one right here as well on Money Moves when we come back. Excited to have VP of Operations here at Circa Resort and Casino, Mike Palm, join us in studio, fresh off round 1 of the Blackjack tournament here on location. Lots of stuff to get to, though, especially in the NFL. A lot of hot topics as we approach the new league year Mike wants to get into.
Watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, let's get into it. Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. Stormy Bonantoni, Jonathan Von Tobel rolling along here. Excited to have VP of Operations here at Circa, Mike Palm, join us in studio, fresh off round 1 of the Blackjack tournament, correct?
Wrong.
What?
Round 3. We just completed round 3, Stormy. Round 1 was last night. You've played in these before. You know the format, Stormy.
It's Friday.
Cocktail party and a round on Thursday night, and then 2 rounds back-to-back on Friday, and a final round on Saturday.
I wasn't invited this year, so
we
it was hurting my heart.
Because of your schedule. I offered you both, and both of you said to me separately, John, you said, I don't want to leave Stormy in a lynch with no maybe a remote co-host. I wouldn't do that to her like she does to me.
I remember that.
And Stormy said, I don't feel like playing. Or I would.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, both of you for your own reasons.
No, that's my favorite thing. I'm really sad that our show moved time slots because we're in a different slot than we were last year. So we were off the air at 11. We could go. But all good. Any drama? Anything fun happening so far?
Well,
how's Mitch doing?
Mitch is in 11th, and he's had solid rounds. Good. He had one bad round, but the scores are like at 25,000 was like 6th place right now, where that might be 1st place in some events. So the scoring has been pretty high. I told Mitch, you've got to go all in tomorrow. You need like a 30,000 point round, because I believe that if you're not in the top 4, you don't really have a shot to win this. And then remember, Mitch cashed 15,000 last year with Florida.
JVT remembers.
He had the second pick. Somebody took Duke first, and then he took Florida, and he got there. So.
Stole my idea.
It's not. It's. Maybe somebody will take Florida again this year.
It's probably going to be the first pick.
I was going to say,
you think it'll be the first pick?
I was going to say, do you think Duke? Yeah.
I would say Duke or Florida. I mean, because what do you guys have Florida at?
At 20,000, you can afford to take the shorter price,
yes,
right?
You can.
You know what I mean? With Duke, and then when you get to the Final Four, they'll be favored. You can get a plus price if you want to monetize.
I mean, I know it'll change by the time we get to tomorrow. Do you know offhand what you have at Florida at?
I don't know what Florida's at right
Because,
now.
I mean, they are the flavor.
I know that we have Duke power ranked higher than last year's Duke team.
Dude, I keep saying it. They're blowing everybody out. I mean, coming up tomorrow, we get the news today. Caleb Wilson's broke his thumb. He's not going to play, but I'm tempted to just go and say, who cares? They're winning these games by 25 points per
Every time I keep thinking, and I go back to one of your phrases that I learned about sell high on teams, right? When they're laying
the first person to say that.
Well, that I heard on the network. You remember you guys used to do with the baseball? Yes, I remember. And I took Virginia. I go, this is too much. They just keep crushing everybody. You can't even get a sniff if you go against them.
Any other teams that you think could be? What was that face for?
Any other teams that could win?
No. That you think that as you were doing the tournament, I know people are always talking about teams they might be considering.
Nobody's talking at all.
Nothing.
Nobody,
really?
Well, what is there to talk about? Connecticut? I mean, what's there to talk about? Gonzaga? They just got boats right by St. Mary's. I mean, who do you like? St. John's? They have no point guard. Everybody's
Illinois
got flaws.
is a team that some people
Illinois
were talking
can't play
about.
defense for 40 minutes for 5 straight games. Did you watch Michigan get every shot they wanted that whole game in Champaign last Friday night?
Why are you yelling at me? I'm not saying I would pick Illinois.
Well,
I'm just asking.
Up with these
I'm trying to give some
theories.
I'm asking you what people are talking about, but if they're not talking about anything,
I got to finish top 4. That's what they're talking about.
I mean, realistically,
it's the haves and the have-nots this year.
Well, it does. It seems like we talked about this. Realistically, I think there's 4, maybe 5 teams that could win the whole thing. And so in a tournament like this, once you get outside of those top 4 teams, you're taking teams at the hope of hedging, in the Elite 8 or something like that?
I mean maybe you take somebody long and make the second weekend, and but it gets dangerous when you still got 4 games left.
Wisconsin, maybe? I don't know.
They're streaky.
Yep, right.
They can get hot, but I wouldn't trust them.
Any coaching at the table? Have you had to nix that? I know
there's been none. There's been English is the only language that's been spoken. There's been, nobody's tried to smoke. Everybody's been very compliant.
Good. I would have tried to smoke if I was there. But
with you obviously being the Notre Dame guy that you are, I did want to ask you about Lou Holtz passing and all of the videos, though, that have been shared about him and the legendary coach and person that he was.
This is an amazing public speaker. I think the greatest public speaker that I've ever sat in front of and listened to. When I was there, obviously he was the coach. Fridays, they would have luncheons for home football Saturdays in South Bend, and he would always speak at them. I would try to get away to go to them. He was just incredible. You new stories all the time, new perspectives on looking at things. The guy kind of lived an underdog life himself, right, and was just very motivational, And so it was his presence during my time there was probably one of the best things about my Notre Dame experience, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I remember I'm older than you, John, and a little older than you, Stormy. And I remember him at Arkansas and at Minnesota, right, before he ever got to Notre Dame, and then of course he went to South Carolina. But remarkable. I thought that segment that he and Mark May used to do, where Reese Davis was the judge on your network on ESPN, Stormy, it was way ahead of its time. And it was well done. They could pick a different side of the same issue. You could flip their positions. I thought that was one of the great segments of TV for that time. And I wish it would have lasted longer. It would have lasted a couple of years maybe. But he was great. He was great on television as well.
Was that Cold Pizza?
No. This was during their evening wrap-up show on Saturday nights. Okay. It was Mark Mayhem and Reese, and they would do this segment. They would take an issue that it could be about who's better than who, or an issue in college athletics, and they would debate. And Reese Davis was the judge, and he'd have to say who won the debate. It was really great. I'm sure you can Google it or go on YouTube and look for those segments.
The video of him talking and having the newspaper has been going
where he
all
rips
around.
It all up and he comes
fascinating.
Back. I like Greenberg's
really
story about when he was going to interview him and he found out that that he was getting married or whatever, or having a kid, and he said, the greatest thing you can ever do for your children as a man is to show how much you love their mother every single day. I mean, it's great stuff. And of course, from the 30 for 30 about when there were the Catholics versus convicts game, and leave Jimmy Jansen's. I don't know you can say anything on this show, but backside for me is also a great story.
It's your fault. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm not the one that said anything. So, all right, real quick. I know I want to hit NHL with you first before we get to some of the NFL stuff because trade deadlines here. I can report that I've heard nothing about the trade deadline.
You should be in Emily Kaplan's position.
Oh, stop.
Oh, I'm just kidding. No more calls. Go ahead.
I mean, what time is the trade deadline?
3.
What is
It's
it?
coming
up, right? I mean,
Yes.
what are we doing here?
Is Bennington getting moved?
Yeah.
He's got so many. I didn't realize how many no trade clause teams he has in his contract.
Yeah.
Like Edmonton's a no trade clause for him. The only Canadian team that he agrees to be traded to is Toronto. That's not happening. They're selling. I don't get what's going on. These teams make these trades and they don't ask the player. Like Parayko vetoes it after the trade's made. I mean, they're not telling him, "Hey, we're doing this," and getting his sign off.
That was the craziest thing, seeing all of the insiders come through and say, like, they're finalizing the deal pending player approval, and then Parayko says no.
No, I'm not going. Why wouldn't you want to go? I want to go to Buffalo. Buffalo might win the East.
Yep.
No.
They're that good. And you can still get them at 11-1 to win the East. I think that's a good hedge. I got a lot on Tampa. I have to take that hedge.
Well, and it sounds like for Thomas or even Bennington, like St. Louis is asking pretty steep prices for anybody.
Yeah, Thomas is not going to go to the Wild. They're not going to send him in division, I don't think. Wild's obviously trying to get tougher. Yeah. You heard John Hines after they lost earlier in the week say we're a soft team. And I think Guerin got that message because everybody he's acquiring is to try to get tougher and more physical. I'm hearing our guy, the Wall of St. Paul, Stormy's having some mental issues up there again, like he melted down at the end of last year. Could be Marc-Andre Fleury as their second goalie heading into the postseason. He's been
coming out of retirement,
practicing with them once a week for the last 2 months. Okay. So Bobrovsky, I still think is going to get moved in the next 2 hours. Okay. Florida's not signing him. He wants 6 years. He's 37 and he's awful. Yeah. But he's a proven winner. And I think somebody takes a shot at him. Do you think Vegas might be? Vegas has got to do something. And they have 3 goalies, and none of them are any good.
You'd think it's. I've been surprised so far that we haven't heard more. Yeah.
McCrimmon always will make a move, right? That's their style.
That's what I've said every day this week, and I'm just like waiting to see what it's going to be, and we haven't seen one yet. That said, I know that you do have a lot of opinions on all of the NFL stuff that's been going down to this point.
I think that the Rams way overpaid for McDuffie. I mean, that's Kansas City. That's a great trade for them, I think. And I don't know how he moves the market. Does they get favoritism to win the Super Bowl? That's very strange to me. I love the Bears, what they did. You have to, one, you're freeing up the cap space. 2, I think he was sour there, and the fans in the city were starting to turn on him. And 3, you got these young wide receivers and tight ends you need to get the ball to anyhow. I think it's a good move, and it's not that bad of a move for Buffalo to take a shot with him. Maybe in a fresh spot, it's a different situation for him, but I love what the Bears did. And I continue to try to find out what's going to go on with Kyler Murray. First of all, he should have played baseball. He would have been a nice center fielder. He could have played his video games. Nobody would have bothered him. Minnesota has to make a decision. If they want him to be the quarterback, they can go get him. They can promise him the starting job, and that's it. But KOC has to make that decision. I don't think they're there yet, but they're looking. They're talking to Carr. They're talking to everybody to try to find a solution. What I do know is they're out on J.J. McCarthy. They do still think Burrow's in play. I don't. But if you had to ask them right now who they'd want, it's Mac Jones, but 49ers want a heavy price. But that would be their wish list number 1 for the Vikings right now is Mac Jones to be their starter.
When you say out on McCarthy, like for this year, like
he's not going to start this year,
or it's an Anthony Richardson situation where like they're done.
No, I think that they think he needs more time to develop, and they can't go with the team they have, another top 5 defense last year, and waste it on a situation where you have such a subpar quarterback.
Yeah, it clearly hasn't worked, and then it didn't help that the injuries
Also, look for
up.
Addison to get moved. They're tired of his childish antics, and Jefferson's tired of babysitting him.
Hell of a statement to close us out
Max
on.
Crosby a Bear?
I hope so, just for my content in Chicago.
Mike Palm. Everybody, we got to step aside when we come back, wrapping things up. We will have our final preview of the Detroit Tigers and best bets headed into the weekend. Stick around. Play ball indeed as we continue our MLB preview series. And I just realized I did not move back in after having Mike Palm on the program with us.
Segment. That's
Apologies, crew. But yes, today we are, as we continue our MLB preview series, diving into the Detroit Tigers, which is a team that I feel like I just keep on hearing everybody talk about from a future standpoint, whether it be a double-digit number to win the World Series or to win the division, whatever it is. Are you as high on this team as I keep hearing most people are?
Yeah, I think you have to. We were talking about this with Palm right before he walked out. We mentioned that we were going to talk about this. This team, from a pitching standpoint, is going to be in every single game. I mean, I think the way that Mike put it was, are they even going to have a losing streak? And how long is it going to be when you talk about having Framber Valdez and Tarik Skubal, not in that order, at the top of the rotation? That's absolutely ridiculous. If Jack Flaherty, who's projected to be third in this rotation, finds some sort of a bounce back, and some of his numbers from last year would indicate that it's supposed to come in 31 starts, 4.64 ERA, but a 3.85 fielding independent. So if you get that regression to the mean that some of the numbers suggest that Flaherty could get after a 2025 that didn't really go his way, now all of a sudden you're talking about a three-headed monster in this rotation that is among the best, if not, no, it is the best in Major League Baseball. I think that this rotation is going to be absolutely tremendous. So that holds up, which we expect. Then all of a sudden you're looking around and going, yeah, all right, cool. Like the bullpen is good enough, as we have seen before. You know, guys like Kenley Jansen in there now too, a little bit long in the tooth, but should be able to help you out overall at the back end of your pen. The question just becomes, with this starting lineup, are you going to get a little bit more out of it? When you look at its production offensively, that was one of the things that we talked about a season ago with the Detroit Tigers was, what does this look like for this team from an offensive standpoint? And it's not like they were horrible, but 12th in weighted runs created plus, closer to average in a lot of different categories. But you'd rather be slightly above average with your offense than abhorrent, like we've talked about with Cincinnati, and have the rotation that they do. Detroit's going to be a very, very good team. It is hard not to echo what everybody is talking about when you look at the favorite status in the AL Central, the potential to win the American League, and the odds just to win the World Series. If you're going to slay the expected monster at the final series, which is the Los Angeles Dodgers, you've got to have the pitching to do it. Detroit clearly has that.
For a radio audience, those numbers in the division, plus 110 favorites to reach the ALCS, plus 370 to win the AL, 9-1, and then the World Series number sitting at 20-1. I did kind of laugh to myself at least a little bit when you opened with that comment from Mike Palm about, like, are they ever going to go on a losing streak? Because that number, and they have these props up for every team across Major League Baseball, like how long will their longest winning or losing streak be? And the Tigers number is set at 6.5, but the under is juiced to minus 150 because of exactly, I think, that thought process and mindset.
I mean, you know, every few starts, you're going to have either Tarik Skubal or Framber Valdez taking the ball. And you're going to have an opportunity to win those games, obviously, every single time. So it's really hard not to look at this team. I mean, I think you can make the argument, too, like, yes, minus 185, that's a fair price to lay to make the playoffs. I know that nobody wants to lay a $185 6 months out and sit out there and wait, but you could, I think, look at that and say that is considered a cheap price, consider how good this team is. Again, just to make the playoffs, we're not talking about winning the division. This seems like this should be, it would be, I think, a massive shock if they were in, at the very least, the playoffs. Winning the division, you know, we've talked about some of these teams in this division. Kansas City, obviously, being one team that I'm relatively high on. So I don't know if I would be stunned if they didn't win that division, but I do think that this is, at the very least, very, very least, a playoff team.
So if there is one bet to make on the Detroit Tigers, what would it be?
I think you can go over the win total. I think that that's something worth looking at. I mean, some people want to play if you can find some alternates on them as well, if they're going to really rack up some of these victories. I would also say if they're going to be as good as we expect them to be, taking a stab at them to win the American League or to win the World Series, I think is also worth it. Because if they just get out of the gates and are exactly what you want them to be, that this is going to be a team that number, you might not find an opportunity. When I like to bet Major League Baseball futures, especially World Series, I like to wait during the season. There's ebbs and flows. It's a long year. There's dips, peaks, valleys, injuries. But this team might be wire to wire just as good as we expect them to be.
Skubal, from an award standpoint, plus 350, favorite for the AL Cy Young. Any other awards we should be looking at? Or if not Skubal to win this award, where else on the board would you like to look most?
Nowhere, would you? I mean, he's unreal. He's accurately
It's like if he stays healthy.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think there's some longish shots you could probably take and just hope that he's going to do it. You know, Brian Wu, we'll talk about the Seattle Mariners. That's a guy that's on the come here that looks like he's going to be very, very good. But
he's 20-1.
Yeah, right. You're talking some 20-ish 1-to-1 shots. It's really hard to realistically go against Tarik Skubal and think that, I mean, you're going to have a shot. If he's healthy, he's going to be right there to win that award.
Okay. I mean,
everybody's high on him.
That's what I say. It's just one of those things where when we're all thinking the same thing,
This
that a
one,
good
like,
thing?
it's not like they could be the best team in the American League, but it's just the way that their roster is set up, especially with their pitching. There's not that many very weak links that would cause this team to crater.
So this is our breakdown, but if you want another breakdown and some more opinions on the Detroit Tigers specifically, our MLB betting guide has both an analytic preview from our guy Adam Burke and a player perspective breakdown from Jensen Lewis, former MLB pitcher. The guide has previews of every single team, different potential futures bets across the board, awards markets, all of that right now. If you go to vsin.com/guide, you can get the guide a la carte for $19.99 with all of that info in it. Or if you join us on a full-time basis, vsin.com/subscribe, you get access to everything we do each and every day at the network. That includes the best bets page, of course, on vsin.com, unlimited access to all of our articles, as well as not only this guide, but the March Mania betting guide that's going to be available here pretty soon as we get set for the tournament. So keep all of that in mind. It is time to get to the best bets here ahead of the weekend. To recap first from last night, very annoyed with the Tampa Bay Lightning, just an absolute no-show in Winnipeg yesterday. So all those angles we had did not come to fruition. Buffalo money line, however, did, as did the Columbus Blue Jackets against the Florida Panthers. So 2-3 on the day for us. Still a good week, 7-4 in all when it came to all of the hockey stuff this week. How about you, JVT? Another clean sweep in the NBA. I don't know why I'm not just betting every single thing you bet in the NBA these days.
I don't like how you say that. So yes, all three got there yesterday. We don't need to linger. Mavericks plus 8.5, Spurs minus 3.5, Nuggets minus 5.
Have you added anything for tonight?
No, actually not really. Nothing really stuck out. I know we've talked a lot about these NBA games today. Some crowded injury reports, some things that I don't think I'm entirely confident on. I think that Zach Cohen's got a really good idea there with the Clippers, who I might add a little bit later tonight. But sitting back and getting ready for Saturday, getting the picks ready for Saturday's contest as well is what I'll be doing tonight.
I feel kind of like a dud tonight as well because I took the night off from the NHL because we do have the trade deadline here and all of the information that's coming out and players sitting or not being available or whatever. I just decided better to just stay away from today and reset as we get into the weekend. That said, I did do a fun bet today in the World Baseball Classic, just betting on America. I was listening to VSiN by the Books this morning, and Jensen Lewis had a really good breakdown of just a potential blowout type of a game for America against Brazil later on today. So I laid a disgusting 9.5 runs in pool play tonight against Brazil, just thinking about what a monster lineup America has. The best of the best when it comes to power hitters, top talent on the mound. Logan Webb going to open things up today. And then tomorrow, Skubal against Great Britain, Paul Skeens against Mexico. The list goes on. But as for today,
Skubal's only pitching like 55 pitches, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, it's like, but I think all these guys, it's just, but with that in mind, though, so the run rule is something that can come into effect in these games. And I think as Jensen and Dave were kind of talking about this morning, you're incentivized to try to get out of this thing early if you can.
Sure.
And you're going to rotate through your rotation or through different guys as much as you can just to keep everybody fresh. So whatever it is, like 9.5, I know it's a lot. I know it's weird. I know it's disgusting. You don't see that type of a number often, especially when we're talking mostly about MLB games in this case. But with these types of games where you have all of this MLB talent against a team with virtually none, why not?
I like how this is a topic of conversation, but we just got done with the Olympics and we saw like 7.5 point spreads and or puck lines. So it's not that big.
Although I
international
did,
competition.
with that in mind, I did like take 7.
The Italian women, right?
Yes.
Got there.
Barely. That was a nice win for both of us that
good.
day. Did you see any of the Ohtani stuff this morning, though?
Saw his Grand Slam.
Day one, he's, 3 of 4, 5 RBI, has the Grand Slam. He's a triple shy of the cycle, and just everything he does turns to gold.
That dude's...
Is he going to be impossible to bet against again this year?
Yes. I mean, why? Again, like baseball writers at least have it right in the sense that they will not do what NBA writers will do, which is set some arbitrary bar because the guy won an award last year. If he's the most valuable player, he's the most valuable player, period, bar none. And I think that that's what's going to happen with Ohtani as long as he's out there. And again, he's pitching this year, and that's going to make a major difference as well. It's unreal.
It's just, if you're betting in that market against him from a future standpoint, you're just betting on health, right?
Correct. Yes. If he's going to play, he's going to win the award. I don't really think there's any question about it.
So who would you like next up? Who's the next man up?
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of different options. You can look at, let's go with Pete Crow Armstrong. How about that?
Okay, I like that. He was somebody that I believe was on my fantasy team before I got, what are we calling my situation currently in the fantasy baseball league?
Screwed?
Okay, all right. I wasn't going to go that harsh with it, but
Your team sucks.
It's not good.
Yeah.
We are on day 2 now of the draft. Or is it day 3?
This is day 3, I think.
This is day 3, and I
Yeah.
still have not been able to have a
Pick.
selection yet.
That's right.
We're coming up, guys.
You get
Fingers
there. You
crossed.
get there.
Things are going to happen. That's a wrap for us today. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Good luck with the bets this weekend. Enjoy all of the conference tournaments getting underway. Excited to be back with you guys on Monday. Same time, same place as usual. But stick around right here on VSiN. We've got you covered all day long, but especially next. Follow the money. Mitch and Paul after this. Have a great day.